streaming. He's just doing game audio. So
Just game audio?
yep.
So I can pull him in here then.
Yep.
Oh, he's got to move out of the AFK channel, though. I can't pull from there.
I'll let him know.
Okay. I'll switch the layout here. And it is any percent that was chosen.
I'm going to do a countdown in Memble chat, Golden, since he's muting his mic.
Okay. I'm not ready yet, but I know what you mean.
Whenever you're ready.
I know.
And Blecky needs to be moved in.
Blecky as well?
Yep, he's doing commentary.
Hello.
Hey guys.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you. Got home a bit early. I saw little Samson was coming up. I love this game, so I'm happy to help out commentating it.
I'm happy to have you in the call whenever you want to be here. Welcome.
How's the marathon been so far?
We got one run in the books, $300 already donated.
Holy moly.
Holy moly. It is very good. Very good so far. And I've only managed to screw up every single person's nationality so far. I'm 1 for 1 on incorrect flags on the screen. So hopefully that will be the only one, but who knows?
Mm-hmm. I think Xdragon is Guatemalan, so as long as you get that right, we're good.
Oh, dang it. All right. Can we tell Xdragon to switch to a screen that... oh, there we go. I was going to say I need to be able to see like where the boundaries are on the screen. But I think I got it now. There we go.
All right, well, while we have a second, I just want to let everybody know that this is the JRTA Marathon, where we are raising money for 2 Japanese runners, Ohon and Bicord, to come over to AGDQ and play their games. Bicord will be running Gimmick, and Ohon will be running Mega Man 6 and Castlevania 3. So appreciate your donations. We're trying to raise $4,500, so with your support, we can make this happen.
Yeah, needless to say, the last marathon you guys did was ultra
With your support, we can make
successful, and this schedule coming up looks stellar, so it's going to be a good weekend.
Oh yeah. Hope you got your, I don't know, whatever makes you comfy. Nice comfy chair, some comfy drinks, whatever you need.
Whatever you need to be comfy. Okay, we've got little Samson here. The audio is now on the stream, so let me know if the game sounds okay and you can still hear us. Can I get a dog face in the chat if you're having a good time? How about that? It feels like we're missing some emotes this time around.
That's not acceptable.
Yeah, it's been a little while since I've had to ask, but I think the dog face is still around. Lil Z. Oh man, look at all these different options now. I feel so old.
Man, the run back. The good old Franker Z.
We got a couple people who know what it's like, and then we got all these newbies in here.
It's weird, right? Like, if you talk to a streamer now in, like, 2015, they're like, what the heck is Franker Z?
It's unbelievable. All right. I believe we are all set up here and ready to go.
All right. So
if you want to just give them a countdown.
Yep. I'm going to do a countdown in chat. Ready? In multiple chat.
Yep.
Here we go.
Oh. Okay. Yep.
All right, little Samson. Hopefully you guys know this game fairly well by now, because while it might not have been known early on, it has become quite a popular platformer. The reason it's so cool is because you get these 4 different characters throughout the game. You start out with Samson here, and every character has their kind of strengths. Samson is actually kind of the least unique of the 4. He has sort of a moderate move speed, and you can shoot these little bells which only do 1 damage each. He can also climb on the walls and ceilings, but one of the fastest moving characters in the game already has that benefit anyway. So you won't be seeing much of him. You should get in this little. You should enjoy his company while you can. This game is well known because it was released towards the end of the NES life cycle, and it's become really, really valuable, several $100s. So it's hard to get your hands on this game. Next up here we've got Kakira, the second of the 4 different characters. Kakira has a lot of cool little unique qualities about him. He's pretty fast, but not the fastest, and he can also hover, as you can see here. So that can be very, very beneficial. The uncharged attack does 1 damage per shot, and then you can charge it up to 2 different levels, the first of which shoots out 3 different projectiles at 2 damage each, and the other one 3 different projectiles at 4 damage each. So it's a nice little way to do some front load damage, but the charge takes so long that you wouldn't want to do it otherwise. This is the character you should become the most accustomed to. This is KO the mouse. You can see here that he is by far the fastest moving, maybe just a little faster than Kakira, but faster certainly. And on top of that, he has a very, very, very damaging ability. So between these kind of between that high mobility and that high damage output, he's very, very useful throughout. The bombs are a very unique little way of dealing damage, and you'll see a bit more about that as we get to more bosses. The last character is Gom. You won't see him much. He's a very, very slow-moving golem. You can see just how slow he is. His punch actually deals quite a bit of damage. It was 5 damage. But unfortunately, even if you hit an enemy with it really up close, there's still a bit of a cooldown time, so you can't mash it quite like you can a lot of the other attacks. His other benefit, which really doesn't come into play that much, but you can see it here, is that those mushrooms are spiked, and he can just walk over the spiked ground without taking damage. But you in a speed run, you would either hover over that with Akira, or potentially just jump over it or jump around it with KO the mouse. This is the first little boss of the game. You're fighting Kakira the dragon. You want him to do a charge attack. Oh, but he hovers across the screen. That's not much of a time loss. It's about 2 seconds. If he just does his charge attack, then he'll do a charge attack and land back down on the ground. But unfortunately, Xdragon got a bit of bad luck, but again, that's only 2 seconds, so not a big deal. Starting with the next stage, the stage 1, you have full access to the 4 different characters throughout the game. So you're going to see right off here, well, we're starting off with KO the mouse. This game has a lot of zips in it. And you'll be seeing the first one here in this stage. The way the zips work is basically, this game loads its stages in different sections. So if you can get to the end of one section and not be on the far right of the screen, before the next section loads, the game doesn't even have time to load the next section. And so it just, he might have messed it up. And so the game just sort of, instead of loading the next section, just says, oh, you're done with this section, and just kind of loads you to the next one. Unfortunately, he did, that's going to be a bit of a time loss there, because in normal mode, this run is on normal mode. Unfortunately, he messed up the zip there, and so he had to die with KO the mouse. You can't really soft lock if you do a zip incorrectly, but you can just load the stage improperly. So the reason this is such a big deal on normal mode, and Xdragon's asking if he can restart, and as long as it's okay with you guys, it probably is beneficial.
I think it might be better. Yeah, we got some issues on the stream anyway, so.
Okay. So let's just restart Xdragon.
Start it over.
The reason it's such a big deal is if it was in easy mode, it wouldn't be such a huge deal. But because it's in normal mode, when you lose your character, when you die with a character, you actually lose the ability to go back to them until you just do a total game over. So he just had a kind of totally oddball thing that happened with the zip. It doesn't happen very often, but it did happen in this run, unfortunately. And so apparently there was some stream issues anyway, so we're just going to go ahead and restart.
Is he restarting or is he? What's
Let's
he?
see.
There we go. Okay, give me 1 second because I want to figure out what's going on with the
Okay.
choppiness of the stream. Anyway, something's going on here. So give me 1 second here to try and deal with that. I hear me all of a sudden. Just the video was choppy, yeah. Which leads me to believe it's my computer, but we'll see.
Gotcha.
People were saying Shovel Knight was fine. I don't know if you guys are just lying to me or...
No, it was fine. There's no problems.
Okay, so I'm trying to figure out what's going on here. Let's see if I pop out the stream instead. If that will give us a better... can you have him just go to a stage and move around for a second?
Okay.
Yo, play my Mario Maker level. You guys like Mario Maker? Nice screen region. Let's try and take that away. There we go. Let's try. Yeah, have him just play a stage for a second here.
Oh, he's rebooting his stream. Just give him a sec.
Oh, I don't think his stream was the problem, but...
Yeah, I don't think so either, but it's fine. This hitbox, at least will be up fairly quickly. Well, anyway, while we have a quick second, I guess we can talk about the fact that this is the JRTA Marathon, and we are trying to raise money to get two cool Japanese runners, Ohon and Bicord, to AGDQ. So with your support, we can make that happen. We are looking to raise $4,500, so please keep your donations coming. Thank you. Just want to remind everybody we do have an upcoming incentive coming. A personal, what's the word I'm looking for? I guess I'm personally invested in this incentive because this is for my game, so Street Fighter Cross Mega Man. I'm going to try to fight Akuma. There's a bit of interesting history behind that. It's more than just fighting him, so I can kind of explain what the deal is with that. So that needs $200, so please keep your donations coming towards that.
Darkman, remind me, did you first start playing that game in that big blind race?
Yeah, that was a fun one.
Can you have him keep playing? I'm just trying to figure out what is going on. The stream is all over the place in terms of quality for me. Yeah, it's still really choppy for me.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Dragon he has an issue with work.
What's up?
He has an issue with time. He needs to get his run in really fast.
Okay, well...
Let's just... Can you lower the quality in Hitbox? No, you can't.
I can't even... This is like super choppy. I don't know. We'll try one more time here. I mean, in theory, that looks okay. But when we go to actually stream it here, I'm not sure what you guys are seeing. Let's try this one more time. All right. All right, Sloop is giving me a different link to try here, so we're going to try this and see if this is maybe a little bit smoother, and then we'll start the run, okay? We'll try one more thing here. There we go. I think that's as good as we're going to get it anyway.
Sure.
I think it's at least viewable at this point, so I would say we're good to go whenever you guys are.
Cool.
Okay. Starting now.
Okay.
Yeah, so now that you guys have seen all the different characters, you'll be able to see kind of how their movement speeds compare to one another. I'm going to talk a little bit about the zips in this game. I already kind of said how they work, but I want to go into a bit more detail just as we see these same areas we already saw before. The one actually thing that I noticed, I'm not sure if this is the case or not, but I do know that in this game, the drops that enemies can drop are fixed, like just depending on which you kill and when. And so I'm not sure. I know that in any percent easy, that isn't an issue at all, and you don't even think about it. But I saw that he got a drop in KO's stage, and you want to plan your drops so that you have a certain amount of health at the very end of the game for the final boss. And so I'm kind of wondering if he actually planned that. We'll see if he gets that same drop again this time. I'm curious. But in the meantime, let's talk a bit about the zips. So like I said, the stages are loaded in kind of sections. So when you get to an area that's, say, like vertical and then horizontal, if you're able to zip into the wall and be on the far right side of the screen, then if you're on that far right side of the screen when the transition to the horizontal area comes up, then you're already going to be on the right side of the screen, and so the game doesn't even have time to load the horizontal section. So it just says, well, you're on the far right side of the vertical section, so I guess you're just done. So we'll just move you on to the next area, which in most cases is the boss level. And so because the different layouts of the different levels are so frequently kind of vertical and then horizontal, you're actually able to use that very, very frequently to skip big parts of the level. So let's see if he gets this. Oh, he didn't. Oh, he did get it. Yeah. So he must plan the drops, because you can see now in the upper left there, he got the KO starts with 2 health. And then he got a static drop, which is always just there on the level for another 2 health. And then he got another 2 health besides that, just from an enemy he planned out. And so he must just clearly plan out that that kind of enemy kill order so that he always gets that drop. The thing that really kind of tipped me off to that is that he does the 4th stage before the 3rd stage in this character order, and so there would be no reason to do that other than because it's technically a time loss because you're switching stages. So there's technically really no reason to do that unless it's kind of manipulating something like that, or in some cases, of course, if KO's stage was more difficult or something and you just wanted to do it earlier in the run, you could do that by choice. But that stage is pretty easy, so there's no reason to do that. But yeah, so I don't know if that item drop order kind of comes into play later on, but we'll see about that. Maybe he wanted to reset to see if he could get the better luck on this boss fight. Let's see if he does. He does not, unfortunately. So maybe we'll just reset again. Just kidding. So he gets that same kind of worse luck on the Kikira fight. Next we'll be going into stage 1, which you already saw. So as he does the zip, you'll really be able to kind of see what I'm talking about. He positions himself against the wall with KO the mouse, which is the smallest hitbox, and then he switches over to Kikira the dragon, which has a slightly larger hitbox. Because he's already next to the wall, that larger hitbox gets wedged into the wall, and so he's able to follow that up with a sequence of kind of character switches and jumps and whatnot, so that the game doesn't know what to do and it just moves him to the top of the stage. So let's see if he's able to get it. He wants to be able to... Let's see. I'm watching. Oh, unfortunately... Yeah, I think it might happen again. Let's see what happens. Or maybe he did do it. Yeah, unfortunately, he didn't die this time around, but unfortunately, he didn't get the zip correctly, so he just has to complete this last horizontal part, normally. I think what you could kind of see happened that messed it up was that KO the mouse shifted over to the left side of the screen, so he wouldn't have been on the right side of the screen when the level finishes up. But I'm pretty sure that that's the case, but I'm not positive. So but let's just go with it. So he's going to finish up the level normally with KO here, and then he gets to the boss of stage 1. This boss actually... well, let's just watch him fight. But this game has different kind of level warps and level skips in the game. So he needs to be able to finish this boss with KO in order to skip a series of levels. If you finish it with any other enemy or with any other character, then you actually have to do maybe like 4 or 5 levels. But he's able to finish him with KO, and so he actually skips several levels that way. It's an in-game mechanic, it's all planned in development, and he goes right to this level, the Bubble Cave, which is one of the hardest levels in the run. You can see these transitioning little platforms that blink in and out. The platforms are always there, you can always land on them, so in a speed run, you kind of know where they are, but in a first playthrough, you have to wait or just kind of visualize where the platforms normally are. So let me talk a bit about why KO's damage is exactly so big. So there's 2 different components to KO's damage output. There's the bomb he places initially, which does kind of an instant damage, and then there's an explosion shortly after. So you have 2 different ways of damaging enemies. So watch this boss here. I believe in this case he uses mostly explosions, because explosions deal... Let me pull this up. Yeah, he deal damage almost exclusively with explosions there. The direct contact with the bombs do 3 damage each, and then with the explosions, they deal 1 damage per frame. And they last for there are 3 different explosions, like small explosions to the larger explosion, which move right to left. Each of those smaller explosions last 10 frames each. So you can potentially damage an enemy for as much as 30 damage across those 30 total frames. I hope that makes sense. So this one's a bit of a different zip. You can see he executed it properly there. There was more to that level. There was a whole horizontal section you didn't see, but because he was at the far right of the screen by the time he reached where the stage would transition, that horizontal section didn't even load and it just said, okay, you're done. There's another zip right here where he doesn't have that same maneuverability to use, but he has the spikes on the other side of the screen. And so he actually wrapped around to the other side of the screen, the spikes sort of damaged him to be on the right side of the screen, and then he just jumps. And once again, there's a whole horizontal section to the rest of that screen, to the rest of that level. But he doesn't even load it. He just finishes the level correctly. And then this is the night enemy. Because, again, KO does the most damage. and you can actually manipulate that knight's movement based on where you're positioned. So he just kind of lures the knight into moving slowly forward into his bomb blasts. This level has another zip as well. It's actually the most unique of the zips because you can't be on the right side of the screen for the end of the zip. But what you can do is you can position yourself to be as far to the top of the screen as possible. So you actually finish the screen, like you reach the top of the screen while you're still very, very high up. You can see he executed it properly there, and there was more to that screen, to that level. But because he was so high up, he was able to transition all the way across the top of that section of the stage without having the game say, okay, you're high enough up that I will load the end of it. This boss, like the rest of them, has two different phases. He executed the first one correctly, and then for phase 2, you actually have two different options. You can either fight the boss with Kakira, the dragon, or you can transition to KO the mouse. You can see that Kakira, because he's able to hover, I mean, the entire bottom of the stage is a pit. And because Kakira is able to hover, you're able to just kind of fly right in front of the dragon and just spam your 1 damage attack. You can be a bit more daring by jumping in and out with KO, but because if you mistime a jump or misplace a jump, you can just fall down and die. It's just too risky. And so for a marathon run like this, I can totally see why he wouldn't want to do that. This is the penultimate stage. I think there are still a couple stages left, rather. But he's going to do another zip here, very much like the ones you've seen so far. It's the normal type where you just kind of zip up the right side of the screen. So you can tell by now that every single boss so far has had 2 phases to him. Just about every single boss. A kind of mage phase 1 and a more difficult phase 2. The mages are usually pretty clear-cut, and you just kind of spam them down with KO bombs. But it's really the phase 2 that differs a lot more. And so for a phase like that fight, the sort of death figure there, you have to reposition yourself based on what he does. This is now the penultimate stage. He's playing in normal mode. There are some significant differences between easy and normal mode. Probably the biggest of which is that in normal mode, there's one final stage after this. In easy mode, this is actually the final stage, and there's only this dragon head fight is the final fight of easy mode. What he wants out of this boss fight is for the mage in phase 1 here to fly, I think it was lower down, I believe, so that he could fight him with he could hit him with the bombs. And then for this fight, he kind of positions himself as accurately as possible so that he can place the explosions well, and then he jumps over him and follows him up with different explosions. So again, just back to easy and normal mode, the other big difference, which you saw earlier in this run, is that in normal mode, if you die with a character, except for Samson, then you lose that character unless either you have a potion, or until you game over. So fortunately, that has not happened. This is now the final stage you're seeing in normal mode, which is not present in easy mode. There's actually a refight dynamic to it. You'll see several different fights you've already seen, I think. Actually, I'm not too familiar with this stage. I don't know if maybe he just zips through everything. I'm curious to see what he's going to do here. Okay, yeah, so you do still see the refight, starting with death here. The last difference in normal mode is that I think there might be a difference in terms of item drops, but besides that, your health, I think both the start and the actual cap is lower in normal mode compared to easy mode. So yeah, I mean, you've seen these bosses before, you just have to kind of use KO as you have previously to beat these bosses as quickly as possible. There will be one boss at the end of this stage which you have not seen before, followed up by everyone's favorite, an escape sequence. So we'll see how he does there. Usually there's not too much lag in this game, but you could see kind of especially in these types of areas with just a million different sprites, these floating skulls, the jumping, bouncing eyeballs, there can be a bit of lag there. This game has really seen most of its attention in the past year or so as Xdragon and CT Conqueror picked it up. Previous to that, Kennyman played the game quite a bit, but it's really this past year, especially with the advent and investigation into zips on behalf of Xdragon, that's where the game has really seen a lot of time shaved off. Because before, I mean, Primal did runs as well. That was maybe 2 years ago. But even then, zips weren't that well known, or I think they might have been known that they existed, but nobody had really investigated or been able to kind of make sense of how exactly to make the zips happen until Xdragon came along. So once those zips came out, the times really dropped quickly, because you're able to cut off all the ends of these various stages, maybe like 5 or 6 different stages potentially at least, and it really cuts off a lot of time. So as normal, I mean, you just really don't want to die with KO here, because he just does so much damage, and so KO is by far the most fragile character. And so if you were to die with him, as we saw earlier, it just is such a time sink, because you can either game over or whatever you need to do to get KO back. But so losing KO is just always kind of on the top of your mind, just because he's so fragile. So this is the final stage of the final boss of the game. There is one more escape sequence after it, but let's see how he does on this final boss. The idea is mostly that you just kind of want to bomb him, as you see here. There are, I believe, 2 phases? Maybe I'm wrong about that? Yeah, 2 phases here. The second of which you actually want to bomb him straight in the head. And the hitboxes are kind of a bit more difficult than other bosses, just because that hitbox is so small right on his head. But he's timing his jumps well, and the explosions go off just when he wants them to, and he's able to defeat that boss. So now he just has the escape sequence. Has the typical escape kind of elements that you might recognize from other games of falling blocks, these random explosions. You'll see more of them as the stage progresses, but it's a pretty short little segment overall, and as long as nothing goes terribly wrong, you should be able to beat it pretty quickly. Oh, I didn't even know, but he actually is using a zip in this escape sequence as well. And it's not even like that long of a sequence, so you can just kind of tell just how much, the zips are so easy to set up, and yet still save so much time. So that's the end of the run.
Why take the stairs when you can take the elevator?
Yeah.
1450 was
Nice.
the time there.
It sounds like Xdragon's not happy with this run. It looked pretty clean to me. There was that, stage 1 zip mistake, but otherwise it was a pretty solid run. So good show from Xdragon, and I hope you guys liked it.
Thank you for jumping in on commentary, Blucky.
Sure.
And thanks to Xdragon for the run. Sorry about the tech issues at the start there, but I think we got them mostly figured out anyway. I think that was a lot smoother than that first few minutes was.
I'm going to head on out. I am actually coming back for Azure Striker Gunvolt, so I'll see you guys in a bit.
All right. We'll see you then. All right, and we are going to continue on here in just a second with Donkey Kong 64. All right. Up next is Donkey Kong 64. How are we doing? By the way, chat. How's everybody doing? Again, this is the JRTA Marathon. We're raising money to bring talented Japanese speedrunners Bicord and Ohon to AGDQ. so that they can show their stuff on speedrunning's biggest stage. There are a lot of incentives you can donate for throughout the marathon here. So I would encourage you to check out the schedule. The schedule lists all the different incentives and even lists the prizes you can win for donating. So double check that and plan your donations appropriately.